Spawn would be nothing without his awesome rogues gallery. And here we have Clown, who later turned into like Violator. Same character, but it's like in demon form. There is a gimmick to him. Rotate this backwards, and then boom. He'd look like his normal counterpart. The middle bit is like his transformation in between. You know, this bit grows and he gets more grotesque. You can see that the arms do come off. They're not supposed to, but it's just the way they've kind of aged. I really like that the hair is sort of, this bit's falling off as well. The hairs are kind of like made to look like real hair, or like, you know, crazy looking. His teeth here are so much more like in your face, which I like. I really like the veins. The veins on this are just so gross. It's great, really good. So Violator has kind of like bug eyes normally, and these are just red and black. But you know, it's pretty good. It gets across, he's transforming. Overall, for like a basic figure, I'm saying basic because there are like more detailed versions of Clown. I just like this way, like it's kind of like cartoony still. It's quite detailed enough. There's, you know, it's sort of how he first looked before he got like super detailed with like buttons and like buckles and chains and stuff. Nice, there's nice dry brushing to show that like he's got dirty saggy green trousers on. And then the hand rotates. He did have a chicken leg half bitten, but I don't have that. I don't know if it works the other way around. No, it won't work the other way around. It doesn't, it used to work this way, but it's just getting like, you know, more mechanical. I also wanted to do a comparison shot between basic, or the first toy line figure of Clown. So see him like that, and then this is the medieval one, because they've got pretty much the same buck or like mould. So that's kind of the scale. So he's very small looking. And then if you want to like compare it to one of the movie figures, because I got the comic book ones first and then I didn't bother with the Clown movie figure. Nothing against what it looked like or anything, I just like this one being more clean with its paintwork and kind of more simplistic. If you want to look at the other Spawn, he's kind of in between them, so it's not too bad. And then if you want to bring up another character, a bigger character, and go for Overt-Kill, which is massive. Like when I say caricaturesque, he is caricaturesque. Oh, that's not very clear like that. Let's go from behind. So he's like this tall. There you go. So you've got, I don't mind it, 'cause like I said, they have kind of very animated looks, but I wouldn't say, like this one you could probably get away with them being on the same stand, but these ones, definitely there's a different look to them. There is a more grotesque looking newer one of Overt-Kill as well. Onto the second villain of the wave, Tremor. You can get a green variant here, but this is just the one that came out first, I think. As you can see, quite a big, wider character. Can't remember his lore, but I remember it was something to do with like he was a human and then he was like experimented on into this sort of super soldier, super demon more like. But yeah, the line work on this, just out the gate, very clean on this side. Clean overall for like when it came out, 94. I really like the raised studding. What would I say, like it's a basic line, like today's standards, but it was sort of quite grown up looking. You wouldn't have like raised veins and like warts and boils and like kind of sharper like aesthetics like the nails and the horns for kids back then. So I would say it's sort of still, adult collectors definitely get them now. But yeah, we'll go into like the aesthetics first. You can see very cool kind of like rhino elephant skin throughout. There are dots on and like little raised bits on the top of the head. The eye is very clean. The mouth is very clean too. Only teeth on the bottom though, which gives it kind of this, could be roaring or it could just be like, huh, kind of look. Yeah, his head won't go up, by the way. This is where it's set. I really like sculpted lines here to kind of show that his weighty mass. Very cool musculature here. You can turn around on the back. You've got like the spikes protruding. Very nice here. Very cool. Got the lines on the side to show this. Like there's not much paint, but the paint that's on it really shows what it's trying to show. The sculpt on this one I think is quite heavy. You got like a base body, which is very recognisable as the character. Or one bit of missing paint, but like that's nitpicking at best. If you go down, you see like very gross, kind of talony feet, and there are veins here, but they're not painted. The arms too, like there's only 3 fingers, if you can see. The nails are very, very well, like, you've got the lines on the nails to show like kind of the grotesque nature of the character, like the animalistic side, but they're not painted, so that will be kind of missed when you're looking at it. The hands are also like carries on with the orange throughout. I'll go into articulation now out of the way. The head just rotates, it can rotate all the way around, but like at the slant it's at. The hands fully rotate too, both ways, on both sides. And then the legs, because the way they're sculpted, they won't go back. That's them kind of at the tallest stance they can be, like standing up straight, but they go forward a little bit. And that's okay, like you can have them sitting if you want. I normally just have them like in the neutral pose because they are sort of pre-posed, like I said before. And then there's no peg holes at the bottom of the feet. They are uneven as well. They're not like just the same foot put over. Like I said before, with the clown figure, there's a gimmick. They've got a button here and it shoots out. And then if you want to, you can rotate this. I don't know if it's supposed to. And it's got like a spring-loaded action. You can see like in a cyborg workings. But you could have Spawn holding it and like in mid-fight if you wanted to. Just another go at showing you how it looks when you like throw it out from the front. It's not as impressive. Next is Overt-Kill, another massive figure, bigger than Tremor. We'll just go into the gimmick first to get out of the way. So there's a little button on the back here, and his head, as you can see as well, it's already kind of doesn't properly show or hide what happens, but this happens. That landed in my hair. So take 2, you've got this sort of, the head, because he is a cyborg, he's like a person that's had loads of upgrades to try and fight him, another mercenary character. Very cool kind of veins and stretching to show like the muscly kind of bodybuilder type. The face is very cool, it looks exactly like how he first appeared. He's got like the eye and the chains going back, and the little earpiece. I think the earpiece was protruding in the comics, but you know, it's still there and it still looks cool. The face is very clean, the eyes look, you know, cool because they're different. The teeth, it's just white, but you can see the teeth individually like sculpted, which is it's the thought that counts, I think, sometimes. You've got blood and guts. They're just kind of orangey, they don't look as gross as they could have done with it. But you've got, you know, these bits are kind of sculpted as opposed to just printed like with Tremor, which I appreciate. Yeah, I'll put him back in now to show you. The head is a different colour to the neck because the plastic is different, but I don't mind it. But that's like the only gripe I would have with the figure. There is sort of less articulation too, but we'll get into that in a minute. Overall, very clunky, very heavy figure, and I love it because he's clunky in the comics. He has these massive shoulder blades in the comics too, and he's kind of drawn in an over-the-top way. Arms do rotate all the way around, or as around as you can. Oh no, just there actually, because of the way it's sculpted. So up and down, and the legs. It reminds me of Juggernaut, really. How big he is. The legs just go forward that much because of all the sculpted areas. Though there's less articulation, it's still quite nice with his details. You've got the bolts all over here. These are very hefty looking and pointed. You've got these dots here, which are cool, and they're raised as well. You can see what's sculpted and what's not. The belt kind of section's cool with the bolts in. There's loads of bolts throughout, really hammering in the cyborg look. There's not much posing you can do with this one either. I do like the chainmail, it goes all the way around. Would you call it chainmail? I don't know. It looks kind of like a mesh, like, because it's tight around to show his muscles. that goes on both legs too, as well as the other arm. I do like how this side are like spikes. They are bendy, but I wouldn't go too far to say that they won't break. Just be careful with them. The line work as well is not as clear on this one. It might have just broken away, but it doesn't look as pristine as the other figures. The chain round here is pretty cool. I like that. I like how they're not symmetrical. Also, the bolts on here look great. Bolt here, all the way around on both knees. The feet themselves also look kind of like boats, which I kind of like. They've got like kind of a finished look to them. And then there's no peg holes at the bottom of the feet either. Final figure of my Spawn collection is the Violator, Clown's true form, and it's the red variant because usually he's a turquoise, greyish character. This figure doesn't really have articulation, it's just like wire inside rubber. The eyes have the bug eyes like I was talking about. It's got the line work in there sculpted very nicely. There's less paint detail, but I think less is more with this figure. Also, as you can tell, it's missing its top horn. Didn't have that when I bought it, so can't really tell you much about that. It might have articulated, but don't quote me on that. Yeah, I really like the black dry brushing to kind of show this kind of demonic look, especially because his eyes are a massive part of like hypnotizing a Spawn in the animated show. I really like it. Like if you see this in the shadows at night, you wouldn't want to go down that alleyway, surely. The teeth are really cool. One of them's broken off, but it's kind of minimalistic with its paint job, and it should articulate, but I'm not going to risk it. Yeah, this bit, the head overall here is rubber, but this bit here is plastic. The horns can move, but they're not really supposed to. The dry brushing on the horns too look really, really cool. Makes it look more like dirty bone marrow. All the bumps, all the spine, really grotesque. You can see the dots where they've got the wire in them. So you do have a bit of motion, but I'm really holding this like this to keep it so you guys can see what it looks like. The dry brushing on the spine looks nice. No waist, which is comic accurate for this. Legs are very basic actually, not much detail. There is a couple of veins and like the knees are kind of grim. Bobbles all around here. You can see kind of ribs or what should be ribs. And then you've got like these bone bits on the back of the hands. And yeah, so he's kind of got like a skeleton, elongated skeleton look to him, apart from like the head and the body. The hands are cool, but they don't really bend. They just stay as they are, because I assume the wire just goes here, down the middle, down here, and down in the legs. And then the toes, almost like dinosaur feet. So going into the articulation, the arms, because of the way they're sculpted, they kind of go out that far, but after the shoulder. So they can go out, you can bend kind of forwards as much as like the wire will allow you, sort of. I don't want to tear the rubber. It's actually okay on this one, but it's just, I have seen them with like missing limbs and things. So you can get them in quite unnatural kind of exorcisty poses if you wanted to. The spine doesn't really move that much. You would want him to kind of be bending down, probably talking to Spawn or whatever. It goes further back, but this one kind of wants to push forward because it is thicker. Legs can go forward kind of that much. Go back a little bit if you really wanted to push them. But they start to flare out. They don't kind of stay where you want them to. The knees bend because the rubber is a little bit less thick there. Do they go all the way in? No, they'll push back out. And then you can move the ankles too. You can bend it kind of any which way you want. But I kind of want him in a kind of prowling, sort of talking, lecturing way. You can get him with, you can rotate the arms, but just be careful that it doesn't get stuck within or the wires come out. And there's no peg holes. Also, you've got like this dry black brushing throughout to kind of give it that kind of gross look, you know, kind of very, I don't know, just grimy. I quite like it. It does act as shading for like the lack of musculature, I would say. And now we'll go through like the overall scale. Him next to Tremor. Tremor is about this tall next to him. Tremor also has an off-kilter foot. He does bounce well, but just to keep an eye on that. Him next to his counterpart is even smaller. Like, the idea that this body fits into this human like vessel is quite funny. They did a good job of matching the eye colour, I think. So that was my figure walkthrough / review of the rest of Spawn's 1994 Wave 1. Tune in next time for a breakdown of the 1997 movie figures I have in my collection.